All right, here we go. I'm going to do a little bit of an unveiling. Just picked up this Ampeg Gemini I. I think it's also known as a G-12, maybe. I think it says it on the front somewhere, model something or other. Yep, G-12. I've had several of these before. They're great amps. Really haven't looked at it. I'm guessing this is around from 65-ish. 66 by the way it looks. They've come in a couple different flavors. I've had several before. Differences in circuits even within the same year, but great amps. Two 6v6, I think. It could possibly be 75-90 ones, which, you know, let's call it what it is. It's someone was trying to get in between a 6v6 and a EL34 maybe. Nice day out today, so we're doing this outside. So before we get any further, a couple things first. Let's see here. Choice of the day is we're Carton Brewing, Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. Maybe I will feature a New Jersey brewer every time I do one of these. It's an overhopped IPA. I like it well enough. I don't know if I could jam half a dozen or more of these in one evening, one hootenanny. But they're good enough, so let's get that going and light up a cigar. Yeah, so a couple things on these amps. What I've come across before is that tremolo generally doesn't work typically. That is the tremolo bug, and in these, the tremolo bug is special. It's not like a Fender. It's got a different range LDR. If you try to put a Fender optocouple in there, it ain't gonna work. Hold on. I've also seen somewhere in addition to the bug breaking down, also the caps in the tremolo, but that's not unusual for any old tremolo amp. The first cap in the series in the phase change portion of the tremolo circuit typically gets a pretty high voltage and will tend to crap out. Although I've seen even the lower voltage ones go too. But anyway, I've seen that both in this. So I didn't even try it. The amp, I bought stuff from this guy before, so you know, I trust him, and there's nothing in this amp that's not going to be fixable. I mean, even if it's a transformer to replace, well, that's what happens. So as you can see, a couple of missing knobs, cracked knob. These things can be pretty expensive. What's that guy? Amp Parts, the Ampeg part guy. It's got some great stuff, including, by the way, if you can't see it, thankfully for the handle, the hardware is still there. Can you see that when I do that? Yeah, who knows. The hardware is still there. Someone replaced the leather handle. Usually crap out. I actually have a blue one that's crappy. I'm going to replace this, try to get a blue one, maybe black if blue's tough enough to get. Just realized, get rid of the little marks that they put of where I guess they like their little sound sculpting. Crack knob there. Like I said, those knobs, they can be expensive. These, I think they call them stoved range knobs, Ampeg stovetop knobs. I may have some that I got for replacing some of the other amps I've worked on. Okay, so first of all, the Tolex is pretty good all along. I mean, the main parts, there's some stuff coming up a little bit here and there. The bottom edges are usually what you see. These things get dragged around even in home use, which I think this mostly was. See, the bottoms get dragged around. They have those little slider feet. So there's some touching up, fixing to do. What's interesting here, take a look in the back. I'm not sure if it can be seen easily. Is, well, first of all, there's a missing tube cover. That seems to be the wrong tube. No, there's two missing covers. I was going to say this looks a little too long for a 12AX. It must be a 6FG, 6CG7, which typically is they use, I believe, for reverb drivers in these. These are transformerless reverbs. And they work well. So, but that's what that is. So I do have longer covers. Usually the cap cans are crapped out. This has an interesting back. I've seen several different versions of these backs. This one seems to have an XLR out. Let's figure out where that is connected to. Stop wobbling. All right. So that, I gotta figure out what the hell that is. I've never seen one on a G12. Maybe that's an XLR out from the speaker. By the way, speaking of speaker, looks like there's a C12Q. Okay, good enough from, you can see that. Oh yeah, like I said, 220531, so the middle of 1965. That's my gut feeling was this is 65. We'll verify by looking at the parts and the trannies. But nothing about this back cover, getting back to this, in addition to this XLR out, which, I don't know, it's the original or not. I've never seen one. Is there are only 4 of those screws. By the way, got one of these type of things. You got, if you're going to work on these old Ampegs, you got to have these type of drivers. They're easy enough. You can get them just about anywhere. Anyway, this back panel, I think this is tucked into the bottom somehow, because there are only 4 screws there. It's not as if it's missing screws around the outside. There are no other screws. There aren't even screws in the middle. I've had them where there would be screws across there's a platform here under which the reverb sits and sort of separates the chassis area from the speaker area, which is kind of cool. But let's see what we're up against. Oh, by the way, these drivers come in 2 different sizes. I don't know if they're numbered. I think they may be like by like a 1/8 or 3/16 or something like that. This is the smaller of the 2 that I see readily available. Sometimes on some of these Ampegs, some of the other connectors, other screws are the larger ones, but this is the right one for this. Okay, so, oh, I think wobbling is driving me nuts. All right. I gotta take a break in the middle. I need to revitalize myself. All right, let's continue this. How exciting. And just as I'm walking up to it, there's schmutzes and things. The more I think about it, the more I think that's a retrofit. But I have a feeling I'm going to open this up and nothing's going to be touched. I did not get the impression, and he said hasn't, but this was in a closet for years. It's not clear to me. It wasn't too clear. Yeah, I know that I just recently bought an earlier Ampeg, an SB12, great amp. It was 100% original. And that was his father's amp, but he plays guitar too. I think this might have been his amp. He's not quite old enough that this would have been in '65 to have been his original amp. So I'm kind of thinking it was actually his father's amp that got handed down, or he really doesn't play much. All right, let's see what happens. There you go. Let's see what happens when I pull this back up. Not yet. Look at that. So what in this God's green earth? It is connected. Let's see if I can find where it terminates. Ooh, yeah. All right. So I stand corrected. This amp Someone's been in here before, at least to rig this thing. I'm gonna cut it. Did I bring out my cutters? It is taped. These lines are taped to the speakers and to another thing and a thing. All right, you know what? I think I can open it and see it. So, from the output transformer, these two lines coming down, they're taped in to a rig that is no longer connected to the speaker there. You know what? This is all going to have to be redone anyway. So, oh wow, yeah, this is all done by hand, and it's not even soldered anyway. Someone, I think, was trying to get a speaker out. I really don't like the thought of that, because that could also mean that someone was running this as a mismatch. Oh, look at this. They provided some extra electrical tape and a nasty tar strap. Yay. Some duct tape. It's not an amp unless it has duct tape in it. All right, let's get this apart. Oh my God. What the hell? There's no being gentle. All right, these. Why? What and why? One's kind of played, one's soldered on to some little terminal. I wonder what this one to. Another speaker at some point? Well, guess what? You know, you're all coming out. That's it, you're done. So an XLR, but oh, it's crapped out. All right, you know what? That's that. Then they're never going to be a thing going forward anyway. Yeah, 7591. Ooh, the thing on this. Although I do have some. This is, I forgot, the dreaded 7199. These tubes, great tubes. They're just, no one's manufacturing them anymore. It's a pentode and triode in the same. In this circuit, it's often used as, I believe, the phase inverter. And it rigged up as a long tail of sorts, I believe. I'd have to recheck. But what I have done in these amps, when this tube has crapped out, to replace them, they are tens of dollars, meaning dozens of dollars, 50, 60, 70, maybe more, for a new old stock tube. I don't think I have any in my stash, any pulls, but I do have, there are similar pentode triode replacements. There's the GU8, the 6U8, I'm sorry, the 6GH8, the 6BL8. It's actually my favorite. When I've done conversions of these amps to those tubes, it's just a little pinout change. Arguably, for some of those tubes, you may want to rebias them slightly different, but they will perform as drop-ins with one, I think it's just one wire swap on the tube socket. It's not really a big deal. And actually, of the ones that I've done, like I said, the BL8 I like a lot. I think most people, and you'll actually see converters for these tubes, you'll see socket converters that are sold Atlantic. That's only a couple sips of beer. Atlantic Highlands, that's where that brewery is. On Antiques Electronics and Tube Depot and those, they'll sell converters, which basically inside this little adapter, which goes on in the socket, and the tube goes there. It reroutes the wires as if you were to hardwire it. And they sell them with 6GH8. And by the way, those GH8 tubes and the U8 tubes and the BL8 and the LN8 tubes, we'll start with 6, none of those are being manufactured right now either. The only reason why those are more happily replaceable is that they are such common tubes for old TVs, and there are people have stockpiles. I have piles and piles of each of those. Anyway, so here it is, the 7199. Physically, the tube looks fine. I'm sure it's fine. Don't let that roll around too far though. Stay. Yes, 7591s. 7591s were touted as an improvement, and I believe they are an improvement in wattage, at least in plate dissipation, to a 6v6. I think they were looking to get somewhere in between a 6v6 and an EL834, which were coming to market at those times, were taking over. People were interested in the Marshalls, had them. They look a little, I mean, they've been used. These are the original Ampeg tubes so far, even at $71.99, which can be good or bad. Oh, hey, missing some screws. We have, oh, mother of pearl. Oh, a Telefunken made in West Germany, 12AX7. Look at the, can you see? Oh, mother, may I? Oh my God! And I believe those are the gray long plates. Okay. I need to sit down for a minute. Wow, okay, I need to put this in a very safe place. What will we find here? I was all ready for another. Oh my God, and even that one. Oh man. Oh. Look at the lettering. Look at that. Amperex Bugle Boy, made in Holland. 12AX. Look how perfect the silk screen is. And I believe the first tube is the same. And why wouldn't it have been? Boy, the pins even look good on these. I don't see a whole lot of discoloring. These were obvious replacements because the original tubes would have the Ampeg logo on them, as did the 7189. So these are later replacements. So they were done at the same time, and I'm not sure how they ended up with a Telefunken and then 2 Amperexes. Well, I guess you can get anything. As you can see, the 6CG7, that's a dual triode. It works well for driving. It's got a good plate current characteristics similar to a 12AU7, I guess. I'd have to look that up. But as you can see, this was probably an original tube, as it says, Ampeg on it, as the power tubes. All right, so I mean, what else do I see? You know, it's got the original foot switch, which looks, someone's been in here, not opening it up yet. Somehow it's bent. This is sticking up and isn't, no, it does go down. I thought maybe this was a replacement switch, but that's too big of a back to sit in there well enough. That could be. Dare I open it up right now? Let's hold off on that for a second. Well, yeah. All right. 1991. All right, so maybe that's the last time the guy was in here. Help me with the math. It's 2019. Wow, okay, so it's 27 years ago. Oh, nice fender pick. Hold on. Oh, that's nice. I don't know if you can see it, but here's the original. That spring coil, can you see if you can see that? That spring coil there is where the foot switch is supposed to sit. You know, hey, whatever. Works well enough, keeps it from hitting the back of the speaker. And as you can see, okay, so yeah, this thing is not even screwed in the chassis. All right, let me put down marker bar. I mean, otherwise, speaker, I see no reason why that's not original. Some 65. If I get this chassis out, take a quick peek at the transformers. And I'm betting it's going to be from mid 65 is what we're going to say. I had some problems in getting these out in some amps before. There's a shield that's up on top, I believe, and can hook as you try to take it out. All right. Yeah, well, since the speaker's not connected anymore, that makes that simple. The reverb goes through a hole, which is nice. It's actually, there's some neat features, or design, I should say, of these cabinets that are neat, make it nice. All right, coming at ya. Well, here we go. Quick look down the line. By the way, Ampeg tends to put a goo across components, although I don't see it much on the board here. But those are all very typical and original looking components that would be in these Ampegs. The caps, the Cornell doubliers, the WMFs, the yellow ones. Those are all, yeah. These will have to go. These are usually bypass caps. They usually kind of crap out. There's one tucked in here. Looks like there's a fried power resistor. I've replaced these before. You can't even look at that. I believe that's a 470 of some sort. And, oh, interesting. So this is not, look at that. Ray, can you see that? That's new to me. This is really what amounts to a trem bug. You can see a light bulb back there. That's actually soldered in. There must be an LDR here. As you can see, that's intensity. Huh. Whoa. Got to see what that's all about. Hardened for the most part. That's not unusual. This not unusual. This may have to go, which is one of the filter caps. Although I've replaced them, these actually, this is the bridge rectifier. It's built kind of on top of each other. Obviously, here's the two-prong. No, this is a two-prong plug. That's going to have to be changed. Thankfully, I don't even have to worry about a standby. I mean, it looks pretty clean inside. I think it's going to be the typical component check and replace kind of thing. We'll see what's going to be up with that trim. Hopefully that's working as it is. or if the trem is not working, perhaps it's just an issue with the caps. All right, let's take a look at the transformer side. Pots, let's see if we get see a pot date. 6524. I don't know if you can see it up. One by my thumb. Yep. Okay. And output transformer is telling me 65,534. So middle of 65. Looks like all original sockets. Yep, 534 on the power transformer also. Loose. That's just really for the belt cover. Bottom one's missing. Okay. Don't know what that's about. He said it worked, fired up. It was plugged in at the time. I didn't even bother. All right. So I'm pretty excited. I would say it's better than what I expected from the point of view, circuit-wise, etc. We're talking about an untouched chassis. There's going to be probably some work, at minimum, the bypass capacitors, possibly that filter can there, which is loose. Maybe there's a couple other electrolytics in the circuit. We'll have to see what we have with the tremolo and the reverb. The reverb is under here. You can hear it. Your general cleanup compared to some of the recent amps I've had to clean up. This is going to be easy and pleasant. And then we'll see where it goes from there. I think the positive side of this is those preamp tubes. I'll test them. Tube tester, I know there's mixed emotions about what that can tell you. Well, it can tell me if they're bad. And if they show that they are good or have a transconductance that is close to being what's acceptable, those three tubes right there are awesome. All right, I'm going to put this thing back there. Should we open this up? Just real quick. I did my conclusion already, but now I'm going to open this up. To further conclude, let's take a look inside the foot switch. Yay, what fun. And the answer is, that is a replacement switch. So, it's kind of funny. So the thing isn't sitting down because the switch has a deeper profile than the original switch, but at the same time, it could be screwed up further so that it isn't hitting the bottom. I'll probably keep it there. Maybe they didn't want it to stick up too high and be a tripping hazard. Who knows? But that is a replacement, but it looks like it's wide. Oh, looks like we're gonna have to fix that. That's disconnected, probably. Yeah, this thing's moving around, so too much pressure on that. You got to leave some leeway, because no matter what, these things will spin to one degree or another and just pull anything that's tight. And that's the vibrato, so interesting. Vibrato on these, I believe the vibrato, like Fenders, the switch has to be connected for them to do their thing. So anyway, all right, so that's my further conclusion. The switch. It's got an issue or two. Well, there you go. We'll see what happens. I don't know when I'm going to get to this. I'm going to have to take a closer look, decide what parts need to be picked up. And there you go. I'm going to sleep well tonight. I'm going to be dreaming of Telefunken and Bugle Boys. Ciao.